Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
Hey, this is Gary from Night Dreams Talk Radio. I want to welcome a new sponsor to our show, PhoenixShaving.com. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, another disposable razor company. Well, the fact is they're not. You remember the razors that your father and his father shaved with? Did you ever notice they didn't have, well, the embarrassing razor burn or ingrowing hairs or the razor bumps after they shaved? Did you notice they were also relaxed after they were done shaving? Well, the problem is these big corporations want to sell you razor after razor after razor. Think about how much money you spend a year on razors. Or do you use electric razor? Then you're going to find out what razor burn is. So you need to check out Phoenix Shaving Starter Kits. They come complete with the soap, the brush, and a 2.5-month supply of blades. And the most important part of it, an all-metal razor built to last generations. So, hey, you can donate it to one of your sons when they turn 18. Check out PhoenixShaving.com and tell them that Gary from Night Dream said, hey, I want one. That's PhoenixShaving.com now.
With a little imagination, you should be able to envision the torches and hear the screams that echoed through here. Recorded screams in the Barrens tape were real.
You're listening to Night Dreams Radio with Gary Anderson.
Hey, that is me. Hey, well, the IRS is giving everybody a day reprieve. If you didn't get your taxes out today, they gave you till tomorrow. Wow, they got swamped so much today, and they had, well, a major computer crash at the IRS. So, hey, if you didn't get your taxes out today in the mail, stamped, certified, or you didn't file it online, you have till tomorrow. So, hey, that gives you a little break. Well, tonight, we're going to be talking to an actor who's appeared in a lot of, well, scary movies. And, other than that, I think I'm going to bring him on right now. And, hey, let's see if we can get you guys a little bit, well, you have trouble sleeping tonight. Hey, Paul, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Well, how you doing tonight?
I am doing very well. Staying somewhat warm here in the snow-blanketed state of Minnesota. We got dumped on with snow here just the other day.
Oh, wow. Quite a bit, or just a little bit, or?
Quite a bit for it being April. You think you're into spring and out of winter, but we got almost 16 inches overnight.
Oh, wow. Yeah. But you know what? Where you live, you guys know how to drive in it. I live up here in Gig Harbor, Washington, not California. That would even be worse. But, we very seldom get snow. And if we do, it only lasts maybe a day. Most of the time, it's only a matter of hours. But the problem is here, the people just don't know how to drive in it. So, I mean, if you go out there driving, it's like playing Russian roulette. Like, who's going to slam into the side of your car?
Yes, and occasionally that happens here. But yeah, for the most part, people around this part know how to handle the snow somewhat. It there's only so much you can do though when the roads get like an ice rink. But other than that, yeah, I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing good. I just thought about something too. When I first started driving, my father, was one of the very first things he made me do is drive in the snow. I think there is a truth about global warming, because when I was a kid up here in the Seattle area, in the wintertime, I remember we would get snow and it would stick around for a week or two or so, and we always would get snow. And it's just like nowadays, in the last probably 10 years, and it's been tapering off every year, hardly any snow. Last winter, We only had a couple freezing days in the middle of winter, which I'm talking freezing where my fish pond outside like totally, froze the fish in it. Then, like last year, it was like only somewhat, frozen. And, I had a couple cold days, yes, but nothing like I remember when I was a kid. I mean, so I do think, global warming is happening.
You haven't been fighting off the frostbite or anything as much lately. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. So why don't you tell all the listeners out there, all 3 or 4 of them? No, actually, I'll be honest. We literally, between TuneIn, Speaker Radio, and all the different apps we're on, like iHeart and stuff like that, we are averaging per show between 5 and 15,000 listeners. But the thing is,
fantastic.
After the show's over tomorrow, it'll be up as a podcast for, like, on iHeart and TuneIn, and it's up there for at least 30 or 60 days. So, I mean, the show gets played over and over and over again. And the funny thing is,
that's wonderful.
My biggest audience, and it's really crazy, is out of the UK. And next to the UK is starting to be Germany. I can't figure that out. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy because we go in the morning and we look and we can see where, well, some of them tune in, you can't see because they just don't give you the information who's listening. But on like iHeart and all the other ones, we know how many people are listening, and I'm shocked. Even
that's interesting because it ties in a little bit to like some of my experiences as an actor and some of the movies that I've worked on. This kind of ties into what your question was a little bit about myself. The very first horror movie that I worked on was in California. And we shot there, and it was a ghost type movie called Intermedio. And it was amazing how well the movie did in the UK and like you said, in Germany. The audiences there really, really liked it. Part of it probably had something to do with some of the actors that were in it were really well known in those areas. Amber Benson was in it, and she was one of the witches that was on that TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I think she has I think there's a lot of people in the UK and in Germany that know who she is and kind of appreciated that. But in addition to that, I mean, the story, ghosts and some of that stuff, I think is really well received in the UK, and really there's an appetite for it. So it doesn't totally surprise me that a lot of listeners that are listening to this would hail from that location.
Oh yeah, and the paranormal is just in the last 10 years has blossomed like you wouldn't believe. I mean, if you go on the internet, I mean, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of internet talk shows. I don't know. I started out in broadcasting when I was like 21 years old, or 20 years old. And I worked some major radio stations in a major market, like in Seattle and stuff like that. Did that for quite a few years as a DJ, and then I started doing talk shows. And then I decided to get into developing computers, and I kind of left broadcasting for quite a few years. And the funny thing is, I was talking to Art Bell, maybe 9 months ago. And I told him, I said, I really miss being on the radio, but I'm getting too old. And he, said back to me, he goes, hey, Gary, if you still ride that Harley, you can get back on and do a talk show. And, it hit me. And, the first thing I did is build up a studio, and here I am. And, the funny is, I was so depressed the first week I was broadcasting. I maybe had 4 or 5 listeners a night listening to my show. And then all of a sudden, like after about 2 months, it started getting into, the high hundreds, and then all of a sudden into the thousands, and it just has just been growing,
I think that's fantastic. How and can I ask, like, Art Bell, like, how well? It sounds like you and he talked for a while, or knew one another. Did you know each other for a long time, or was it more recent?
Well, I knew him as a very distant friend, not a close friend, because he has his close circle of friends. I knew him, from probably about 1996. I sent him an email. He sent me an email back, and then it got to a point where we were sending emails off and on. And we kept in touch, through the years, and he would call me up ever so often. He invited me a couple of years ago. I was on a road trip with my Harley. He says, "Hey, come up here and, show me your bike." And, well, I never made it. But I got to know him, not like I said, I wasn't a close friend, but I was a distant friend. But I am just happy, to be a friend. And really, something really scary here. He passed away on Friday the 13th. And
yes, yeah.
And it was a big shock. But, the day after, or actually this Monday, I was talking to Art, maybe about a month ago. The last time I talked to him on the phone, he called me and was asking me how the show was doing. And I said, "Hey, it's doing really good." And, we talked about Heather Wade, how I think she's rocking. And, I said, I always wanted to get the book Superstorm, that he wrote. But I forgot all about, telling him that, right? Guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what appeared Monday in the mail? The book.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he sent me a book before. I mean, he must have just mailed it like a day or two before he passed on. And I tell you, as an adult, I haven't cried since I was probably about 10, 11 years old. And I broke down for the first time in all these years. And I mean, I went through Vietnam and I a lot of different things in my life. But that hit me like the hardest thing in the world.
Wow, that gives me chills. That's wonderful. Just it speaks a bit. I don't know Art Bell, and I'm a little bit aware of some of the stuff that his radio show and stuff like that. But how cool that he did that, especially for you. Especially to such a little kind of act of kindness too. It makes me smile.
Well, it really makes me, it's just I was shocked, I mean, because I just brought it up. I never, asked for the book or anything. I just said, I think I might try to find a copy. And he said, "Good luck. They're hard to find." And, I just left it as that. And then I forgot about it because